Good afternoon and welcome to Global News on Signature TV. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. In the headlines, Admiral Ibas bows out, transfers baton to Fubara. Tension in Yola as Adamawa government demolishes over 2,000 illegal shops in Jimeta Market. Meta unveils smart glasses with built-in display, reaching for super intelligence. And protesters gather outside Paris High School on morning of national strike. Details in a moment.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
President Bola Tinubu has announced the end of the 6-month state of emergency imposed on Rivers State, declaring that Governor Similai Fubara, his deputy, Ngozi Maudu, and members of the State House of Assembly will return to office from Thursday, September 18, 2025. Tinubu, in a statement released on Wednesday by the presidency, said the state of emergency, first proclaimed on March 18, 2025, was necessary to arrest what he refers to as total paralysis of governance that had gripped Rivers at the time. He explained that the intervention, which suspended the offices of the governor, deputy governor, and all members of the State House of Assembly, was backed by the National Assembly and aimed at restoring peace and order. While acknowledging that over 40 lawsuits were filed to challenge the declaration, Tinubu maintained that the step was constitutionally justified, stressing that it would have been a colossal failure on my part as president not to have made that proclamation. The president expressed satisfaction with what he described as a groundswell of a new spirit of understanding among political stakeholders in Rivers, which, according to him, justifies ending the emergency at the expiration of its initial 6 months. The sole administrator of Rivers State, Ibok Ete Ibas, has formally handed over power to the reinstated governor, Similai Fubara. In his final statewide broadcast, Ibas called on the people of Rivers State to rally behind Governor Fubara as he returns to office and resumes leadership of the state.
This journey was never about one man. It was about restoring dignity to governance and giving you back what is rightfully yours. Now, as I hand back the reins of leadership to His Excellency Governor Similai Fubara, I do so with confidence and respect. I urge all Rivers people to support him wholeheartedly because leadership and followership is a shared responsibility. No matter how competent and no matter how clear a vision may be, it can only come to fruition and thrive with the active support of citizens. For me, this is the closing of another chapter in life, devoted to service, at sea, in diplomacy, and now in governance. I live with gratitude to God, proud of what we have accomplished together, and hopeful for what lies ahead. May history remember not just the titles we bore, but the fidelity with which we have served.
Ibas also swore in the acting head of service, Dr. Mrs. Inyingi Brown, as the substantive head of service last night at the government house, marking his last official assignment.
As His Excellency Governor Similai Fubara resumes office, I charge you to offer him the same loyalty, discipline, and dedication that you extended to me. The stability and growth of Rivers State will depend greatly on the professionalism with which you implement government policies, uphold due process, and insulate the service from partisan rancor. This season has reminded us that unchecked power can weaken institutions, but responsible stewardship strengthens them. Let it never be said that Rivers State fell again into paralysis because its institutions faltered.
This came after a perceived tension erupted in Government House by security personnel agitating for payment of their unpaid allowances and entitlements. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, has appealed to the reinstated Governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, and all members of the State House of Assembly to embrace peace and forge ahead. Obi made the appeal in a statement on Thursday while reacting to the suspension of emergency rule hitherto imposed on Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu. Obi described the suspension as misstep that should not have happened. The former Anambra governor congratulated the people of Rivers State for their endurance in the face of provocations. However, former Vice President and 2023 PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar says the lifting of the suspension on Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara and lawmakers is not worth celebrating. In a post on Thursday, Atiku criticized President Tinubu's earlier decision to suspend the governor, his deputy, and the House of Assembly, calling it unconstitutional and still illegal. Though the crisis appears resolved following private meetings between Tinubu, Fubara, and Wike, Atiku insists the president lacks the authority to remove elected state officials. The West African Examinations Council, WAEC, is set to take a major step in modernizing its examination process, with plans to fully transition from paper-based tests to computer-based testing, CBT, with effect from 2026. The move, according to the Council, is aimed at enhancing efficiency, curbing malpractice, and aligning with global best practices in education assessment. Correspondent Chinemerem Ikebunam has been monitoring preparations ahead of the transition.
In recent years, WAEC has been accelerating the shift from paper-based examinations to computer-based testing. Pilot tests and the 2025 CB-WASE involving millions of candidates marked a major step towards full migration in 2026. The federal government says the policy will help curb malpractice, modernize assessment, and ensure faster release of results. But it also raises concern over infrastructure, power supply, and digital literacy, particularly in less privileged communities.
We have thousands of CBT centers across the nation. Those are the centers that we're going to use. We also have to expand the value chain of these CBT centers. They shouldn't just be to service JAMB alone. They should be able to service WAEC and NECO.
In Enugu, where the state government has begun constructing 260 small schools, many officials and educators welcome the change, describing it as a step towards global best practices.
The use of computer is very, very important. Unlike our own time, we doesn't practice with computer. But the way I see it now, the WAEC introducing the use of computer is very, very important. And I think it will help our people.
We have a plan to establish some of the centers where some of them can pick up immediately. And in regards to what our governor is trying to do now, in regards to that smart school, I think it's going to be of a good benefit to them because some of them have started it now.
Some parents commend the innovation, but urge schools to begin exposing students to computer-based assessments early enough to help them build the skills required before sitting for the exam.
When they are not ready to do it now, why am I saying this? They will be using computer. How much is a computer? Times how many schools? They have not told us the number of schools they are going to exercise their discipline. They have not told us the logistic, financial implication, and what it takes to do what they are trying to do.
It will make our children, they will be not reading versatile as they're supposed to be. You understand? Some of them will be start depending on expo. You on the expo that will come up so that they can be able to pass the exam. Because when there is no all this LBJ, it is OBJ, right? It is OBJ throughout. When it is OBJ throughout, our people, our children cannot be searching. Cannot search well.
Our students or our children are not properly sensitized about the using that thing to write the exam. So, and first of all, some like us as a parents, we are not computer illiterate or that far, and our children will find it very difficult to cope up.
Others fear that rural and disadvantaged communities could be left behind if urgent steps are not taken to bridge infrastructure and digital gaps.
I feel it's too early for them to start that because we have not grown, Nigeria has not grown to use computer-based for WAEC examinations. A lot of schools are not computer literate. A lot of students have not been taught even the basics of computer. These exams is not just for those living in towns or in cities. We have people living in villages.
Because when I was in secondary school, they are saying that they're going to be using computer to write work, but a lot of people say that they don't have to press keyboard because phone is different from keyboard. So I don't think to be using computer to write work these days is good.
Thank you very much. While Enugu pushes forward with smart school projects, the Federal Education Minister has cautioned that Nigeria may still struggle with infrastructure requirements for CBT ahead of November 2025. My name is Chinemere Mikeduna. I'm reporting for Signature TV News.
The federal government has announced the reintroduction of Nigerian history as a compulsory subject from primary to senior secondary school, 16 years after it was removed from the curriculum in 2009 under the Umaru Musa Yar'Adua administration. The Federal Ministry of Education announced this in a statement posted on its X handle on Wednesday, stating the reintroduction is aimed at strengthening national identity, unity, and patriotism among diverse citizens. The ministry said the Minister of Education, Dr. Maruf Alausa, together with the Minister of State for Education, Professor Suwaiba Said Ahmed, expressed profound gratitude to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for championing the reform. According to the ministers, the reform is a priceless gift to the nation, reconnecting children with their roots while inspiring pride, unity, and commitment to national development. The ministry has released the revised curriculum and will retrain teachers, provide resources, and strengthen monitoring. Normal activities have resumed at various courts in Enugu State following the suspension of the strike embarked upon by the Enugu State branch of the Judiciary Staff Union of Nigeria, JUSUN. Signature TV news crew, which visited the various courts, reported that workers, lawyers, and litigants are in court to resume their daily business. Some lawyers seen at the court premises said they came to court to resume their court cases following confirmation of the suspension of the industrial action.
Well, certainly when the strike was commenced, the gate was even locked. So the fact that we're inside the court premises is number one evidence that the strike has been called off. And of course, we are here for business because the strike has been called off. And I am also aware that some courts are sitting currently, doing their normal business for the day. So I can say confidently the courts are sitting. So the strike has been called off.
Yes, of course, I can confirm certainly that the strike has been called off. If you take a look around the premises, the court premises, you see cars parked, and those are lawyers. They came for their matters, as I came for mine too. So, you know, the strike has been called off, and I can say for a certain that court cases are going to, you know, start going on.
A female lawyer who was at the court expressed her frustration even after the resumption of duties.
But I was here before 9 a.m., that is the court time, but the court was still was locked. And then we called the court registrar and they said they will come, but that the court will not sit. So
I am just coming from the court now. The court did not sit, but the registrars are there giving us dates for our matter.
The judiciary workers had gone on strike over unpaid salary arrears, failure of government to implement the consolidated judiciary salary structure, and non-implementation of financial autonomy granted to the state judiciary, among others. The Abia State Ombudsman has addressed 39 complaints since its creation, tackling issues ranging from rights violation and administrative delays to disputes involving public servants and private individuals. Retired Justice Kirian Wampa, who heads the commission, shared the update in Umuahia, urging victims of injustice to submit written petitions, assuring that no complaints would be ignored. Describing the body as a beacon for grassroots justice, Wampa said the Ombudsman offers quick, accessible remedies for ordinary citizens, but said the agency does not handle criminal cases. He emphasized its role in strengthening the trust between citizens and government institutions. Wampa praised Governor Alex Oti for establishing the institution, backed by the Abia State Ombudsman and Citizens' Rights Law of 2025. A former governor of Plateau State, Joshua Darie, says the current crisis in the state can be traced back 2 decades to religious tensions and communal clashes that began in Jos, the state capital, after a minor confrontation during a religious activity. Darie made this known when members of the House of Representatives Special Committee investigating the root causes of the Plateau violence paid him a courtesy call ahead of a special dialogue and security conference. He noted that although efforts were made during his tenure to address the conflict, the crisis had since snowballed into something difficult to comprehend.
There was some boil up from the military to the civilian. People were not able to express their mind. And just one day, somehow, somebody was crossing a prayer point somewhere in, what do you call that, showing up. And then he just erupted simultaneously. And 1 million persons were asking, just crossing like this, is that a problem? Is that a taboo? Even if he breaches the protocol. From there, hell was let loose. And we managed to control it. Then later on, the appointment of the NAFEP. And the indigent felt agreed that it was supposed to be one of them, but a non-indigent was appointed. That again broke into crisis. So those were the other ones. And later on, you can explain the dimension.
Spokesman of the committee, Wale Ahmed, who represents the Agege Federal Constituency, explained that the committee was mandated to engage community leaders, government agencies, civil society groups, and past leaders of the state in order to find the causes of persistent killings and proffer sustainable solutions.
The security situation, the killings, the violence, to look into it, listen to as many stakeholders as possible, and convene a special dialogue stroke security conference, which at the end of the day will be a platform for all concerned to come and openly ventilate, out of which we hope to get the feelings of the people, the root causes.
The Nigerian Air Force says its air component of Operation Hadin Kai has eliminated dozens of terrorists and destroyed a key insurgent base in Borno State. According to a statement by the Director of Public Relations for the Nigeria Air Force, Ehimen Ejodame, the operation was carried out Wednesday morning in Bula Madibale, within the Gezuwa axis of Borno. Ehimen said surveillance had detected unusual activity in the area, including 2 terrorist flags hoisted at the site, signaling its use as a major rallying point, which triggered a targeted airstrike around 10:50 a.m., resulting in what NAF described as a devastating impact. The Air Force emphasized that the mission is part of ongoing efforts to disrupt terrorist operations and prevent attacks on local communities. It assured of its commitment to restoring peace and ensuring security across the Northeast. Up ahead, fake madman arrested for cultivating cannabis farm in Anambra. Tinubu condoles with FIRS UBA over Afriland fire tragedies. Details of these and more after the break.
We are local.
International communities observing
just finished the
Where the main market is in chaos. People
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
The Anambra State Police has arrested a 43-year-old man, Patrick Ojele, for allegedly posing as mentally unstable while running a secret cannabis farm near Ngozika Estate in Oka. Police spokesman Tochukwu Ikenga said Ojele was caught during a patrol along the Oka-Enugu Expressway. He said the suspect has been handed over to the Special Anti-Cultism Squad for further investigation into his supply network. The arrest, he said, is part of wider police operations that recently led to the capture of 54 suspects made of 39 men and 15 women for offenses including kidnapping, cultism, and drug trafficking. Ikenga said the raids carried out in Ogidi and Ifitedunu target rising crime among youths aged 18 to 26 as part of efforts to restore order in the state. The Adamawa State government's demolition of illegal structures at the Jimeta ultra-modern market has triggered mixed reactions among traders and residents. Shop owners and buyers were seen in visible distress with divided opinions on government's action. The demolition, which began on Tuesday, followed a directive from Governor Amadou Fintiri, conveyed in a letter dated September 12, 2025, by the Adamawa State Urban and Regional Planning Board. The government accused some traders of erecting unauthorized temporary shops that blocked access roads and distorted the market's master plan. Commissioner for Commerce, Trade and Industry, Dr. Ishaya Dabari, defended the demolition, stressing it was necessary to restore the market to its original design. He said only traders who illegally erected shops were affected and no compensation was paid. Also speaking, the chairman of the Restoration Committee and director of the State Urban and Regional Planning Board, John Zutua, disclosed that over 2,000 illegal structures had already been demolished, with more still to be removed. Enugu State is set to revive one of its long-abandoned agricultural assets. After 12 years of neglect, the government has entered into a memorandum of understanding with Shanghai Regional Center and Tribu Limited to rehabilitate the Enugu-Shanghai Agro-Industrial Project. Signature TV correspondent Chinemerem Ikebunam was at the Government House Enugu to capture the signing ceremony.
A new chapter has opened for agriculture in Enugu State as the government, through a memorandum of understanding, has sealed a deal for a joint venture with Songhai Regional Center and Tribu Limited. The agreement sets the framework for the rehabilitation and operation of the Enugu Tribu Songhai Farms Limited. The initiative is expected to boost food production, create jobs, empower youth, and transform Enugu into a hub for agro-industrial development, agro-tourism, and exports. The secretary to the state's government, Professor Chidebere Onya, who represented Governor Peter Mba at the signing ceremony, described the partnership as part of the administration's broader strategy to regenerate moribund assets and unlock opportunities in agriculture. According to him, the project will cover 10,000 hectares of land with a clear land use framework designed to ensure transparency, sustainability, and a robust partnership between the state and the investors.
Today, we formalize a partnership that will breathe new life into the Enugu Songhai Initiative Henneke Integrated Farm. We believe that it is pertinent that we note that this process will transform a moribund asset into a thriving agro-industrialized hub and advance our regenerative development, food security, and inclusive growth in Enugu State.
Founder of Songhai, Reverend Father Godfrey Nzamujo, expressed delight at returning to Enugu. He described the initiative as a project of tomorrow, aimed to harnessing the state's rich biological resources for mass agro-industrial production. He, however, emphasized the need for immediate road construction to pave the way for the commencement of the work.
Talking about the most important thing, and we, all of us here, we are the problem. The mindset that created this moribund will not be the mindset that will revive them. So what Songhai did, we cleared that mindset. People committed going to be a part of it now. So that's the most important. This project today is what we call the social infrastructure is there. Human beings who understand the problem, who are committed. This new partnership, understand, it took us years to believe. Since 2 years we're working on it, it's now working. So that's now. Immediately that is now done, we're going to attack the less problematic, which is the physical infrastructure. The roads also face, we're going on that. But it's going to be easy because it's easy to implement those physical things because we know where we're going. And the government has given us the commitment, the roads, the other infrastructure is going to work. And talking about agriculture now, it is food, wealth, and job grow where water flows on a good soil.
For his part, the Chief Executive Officer of Tribu Investments, Nnamdi Ozo, reaffirmed Tribu's role as financier and investors under the newly established Enugu Tribu Songhai Farm Limited. He noted that Enugu has the capacity to move beyond food import dependence and tap into lucrative export markets.
I'm in the hospitality industry, so we deal with food all the time. And beyond that, I keep saying that the only thing that keeps exploding here is our population. And we are not catching up with what this population is going to eat in the future, right? And anyone that knows when you go to the market, there are just limited number of things that we can say that we produce here. Every other thing are imported. So it is a shame to us, right? To be importing what we eat. If we cannot feed us, 50 years ago, many people died of kwashiorkor, right? And here we are again, we have not even started scratching our surface.
Ozo, who is also a hospitality investor, further disclosed plans to develop a world-class resort at Eziago, where the Henneke Songhai is located. He explained that the project will combine ecotourism with agro-tourism, making it both community-driven and government-supported.
Agro-tourism, as a matter of fact, we are planning to build one of the best resorts in that Songhai. So Enugu State should just be ready for what they're going to get.
The Commissioner for Agriculture and Agro-Industrialization, Patrick Ubro, assured of sustainability of the project. He explained that the joint venture would integrate multiple agricultural activities including aquaculture, livestock farming, processing, and exports.
And we have a government that has its business as on rehabilitation of our moribund assets. And agriculture plays a central focus in this government. And we have a government that anything the governor lays his hand to do, it thinks about the sustainability of that, even way beyond his term as governor of Enugu State.
With the MOU now signed, the Enugu State Government, Songhai Regional Center, and Tribune Limited have set the stage for what could become a turning point in the state's agriculture landscape. From Government House Enugu, Chinemere Mikebun, I'm reporting for Signature TV News.
Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia has launched a 16.8 billion naira fertilizer program to reposition the state as Nigeria's agricultural hub, with a vision to create hundreds of millennial farmers within 2 years. Speaking in Makurdi at the flag-off of the 2025 cropping season, Governor Alia announced that 9,000 metric tons of NPK, urea, and SSP fertilizer will be distributed to farmers at half the market price of 22,500 naira per bag, subsidized by the state. The governor also revealed plans to clear 5 billion naira in outstanding payments to genuine fertilizer suppliers while adopting a new farming calendar to ensure timely delivery of inputs for wet and dry seasons. He pledged that from December, no raw oranges would be exported from Benue, as the state's new fruit processing plant will begin operations, while 300 bags of fertilizer were allocated to widows at the event, with farmer cooperatives urged to ensure fair distribution. The Agriculture Commissioner, Dr. Benjamin Ashava, said fertilizer sales will now be cashless, using POS at certified centers to curb corruption, while a digital farmers register is also being developed to improve transparency. President Bola Tinubu has extended his condolences to the families of victims and staff of the Federal Inland Revenue Services, FIRS, United Capital and United Bank for Africa, UBA, following Tuesday's fire outbreak at the Afriland Towers on Broad Street, Lagos Island. In a statement on Thursday by his Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu also sympathized with Afriland Properties, FIRS, UBA, and United Capital over the tragic loss. 7 people were confirmed dead, including 4 FIRS staff, after being evacuated and rushed to hospitals across the state. Several others remain hospitalized, with doctors working to save their lives. The fire was one of 2 that struck the Lagos Island Business District that day, leaving multiple injuries and destroying goods worth millions of naira. The coordinator of the National Identification Management Commission, NIMC, in Abia State, Ukpabi Eni, has called on Nigerians that have not done their national identification registration to visit the various registration centers and get registered. Eni made the call during the sensitization campaign road walk organized by the Commission to mark the 2025 National Day of Identity in Umuahia. He enumerated some of the benefits to be derived from the registration of National Identification Number, to include access for the procurement of international passports, registration of SIM cards, securing of government works, and access to community development. The Zonal Director of the National Orientation Agency in the Southeast Zone, Mrs. Regina Iroha, represented by the Deputy Director in the agency, Ndubisi Alozie, urged those who have not enrolled to do so. The head of the Federal Information Center in Abia State, Gloria Abiakam, noted that the NIN strengthens data confidentiality, integrity, and authentication as key pillars for safeguarding citizens' personal information. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Mahmood Yakubu, has said that the most effective way of ensuring greater representation for women and other marginalized groups in elective positions and legislative assemblies is through affirmative action supported by clear legal provisions. Yakubu spoke during an advocacy visit by the Women's Collective Forum on Women's Participation and Representation in Elective Positions and Party Leadership in Abuja. This, he said, will require the amendment of sections of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, and the Electoral Act 2022. Yakubu described INEC as an equal opportunities organization which believes in inclusivity, both in the workplace and in the discharge of extensive responsibilities as an election management body. Yakubu also said that INEC often encourages political parties to ensure greater representation for underrepresented groups in party leadership. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has issued a strong warning to the public to ignore a fake recruitment advert making the rounds on social media platforms. In a statement posted on its official X handle on Wednesday, INEC dismissed the circulating notice, which falsely claims that INEC is currently recruiting for various positions. The statement noted that the imposter behind the fake recruitment exercise also asked would-be respondents to log onto an equally fake portal to complete their applications, stating that INEC does not have any such portal. INEC made it clear that it is not conducting any recruitment exercise at the moment, urging the public not to fall prey to the scam. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has warned that the rising cases of internet fraud are worsening visa restrictions for innocent Nigerians abroad. The EFCC chairman, Ola Olukoyede, said fraudulent practices not only destroy the future of those involved, but also tarnish Nigeria's international image, resulting in stricter travel conditions for law-abiding citizens. Olukoyede, who was represented by the Chief Superintendent of the EFCC, Koka Oyegunle, stated this at an event in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, organized by the Coalition of Nigerian Youth on Security and Safety Affairs. The EFCC boss noted that internet fraud, money laundering, and economic sabotage cost Nigeria billions of naira annually, undermining the national growth and depriving citizens of infrastructure, jobs, and opportunities. He urged young people in the South and across the country to channel their energy into productive ventures such as digital innovation, entrepreneurship, agriculture, and the creative industry. Representative of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Matthew Ewa, warned that drug abuse remained one of the most dangerous threats facing Nigerian youth, while the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps cautioned against pipeline vandalism in the South. Still to come, China willing to maintain dialogue in response to Nevada chip ban. Taiwan's spending bonanza draws more foreign firms to its largest arms show. Do stay with us.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Meta launched its first consumer smart glasses with a built-in display on Wednesday, September 17th, expanding its Ray-Ban line and aiming to stay competitive in the fast-moving AI space. CEO Mark Zuckerberg introduced the new Meta Ray-Ban display at the company's Connect conference in Menlo Park. While some demos stumbled, like a failed call attempt, Zuckerberg called the glasses a step towards AI-powered superintelligence.
This is Meta Ray-Ban display. These are glasses with the classic style that you'd expect from Ray-Ban, but they're the first AI glasses with a high-resolution display and a whole new way to interact with them, the Meta Neural Band. The display is large enough to watch a video or read a thread of messages. It appears in one eye, it's slightly off-center so it doesn't block your view, and it disappears after a few seconds when it's not in use so it doesn't distract you. So for the glasses, we're replacing the keyboard, mouse, touchscreen, buttons, dials, with the ability to send signals from your brain with little muscle movements that the neural band will pick up so you can silently control your glasses.
These feature a small display in the right lens for basic tasks like notifications. Priced at $799, they hit stores on September 30. Meta also revealed Oakley Vanguard glasses for athletes, which sync with platforms like Garmin and Strava. In addition, Meta refreshed its Ray-Ban line without displays, now with better battery life and improved cameras, starting at $379. All new devices come with Meta's AI assistant, cameras, hands-free controls, and live streaming to Facebook and Instagram. The launch comes amid scrutiny over Meta's handling of child safety, including concerns over chatbot behavior and virtual reality research restrictions. China is willing to maintain dialogue with all parties involved to keep global industrial and supply chains stable, its foreign ministry said on Thursday, in response to reports of Chinese regulator ordering firms to halt purchases of NVIDIA AI chips.
For specific questions, I refer you to the relevant authorities in China. We have always opposed discriminatory practices against specific countries on economic, trade, scientific, and technological issues. China is willing to maintain dialogue and cooperation with all parties to maintain the stability of the global production and supply chain. We have always opposed discriminatory practices against specific countries on economic, trade, scientific, and technological issues, Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian told a regular press conference without elaborating.
China's reported move comes after a report earlier in September that said major Chinese tech firms want more of NVIDIA's crucial artificial intelligence chips, despite being discouraged from purchasing them by Beijing's regulators. Protesters gathered outside a Paris high school on Thursday, part of a day of protests against looming budget cuts in France. Unions are calling for more spending on public services, more tax on the wealthy, and for an unpopular change to state pensions to be scrapped.
We organized a picket line at 5:30, 3:30 GMT, this morning to denounce the government's contempt for workers, because in fact, workers are currently so despised by this government and by Mr. President Macron that, in fact, it can't continue like this. It's contempt for public services. It's contempt for hospital workers, it's contempt for RATP, Paris Public Transport workers, for SNCF, French National Railway Company workers. As soon as you're a worker in France, in fact, you're despised. I am here to defend public services, to also demand more social justice and tax justice, in particular, to demand in fact that public money goes back into public services in hospitals, justice and schools rather than to large companies or in tax gifts to the ultra-rich.
The social unrest comes as President Emmanuel Macron and his newly appointed Prime Minister, Sébastien Lecornu, are facing a political crisis and pressure to bring finances under control in the Eurozone's second-largest economy. Lecornu's predecessor, Francois Bayrou, was ousted by Parliament last week over his plan for a €44 billion budget squeeze. The new Prime Minister has not yet said what he will do with Bayrou's plans, although he has opened the door to making compromises. East Timor's Parliament on Wednesday scrapped a plan to grant lifetime pension allowances to lawmakers, bowing to days of student-led protests. Earlier, more than 1,000 students protested for a third day in front of the East Timor's parliamentary building in the capital, Dili, demanding that the government cancel plans to provide lifetime pension allowances for lawmakers. Parties in the East Timor parliament said they would abolish the plan as an understanding they had struck with the students.
Well, we reached an agreement with the student movements where we committed, the 5 benches committed to revoke the pension law as well as to revise the demonstration law. This only came to reinforce what Fretlin and PLP had already presented last year during the budget debate. We had already proposed to remove that item from the budget allocation from the parliament, and actually we proposed to redirect that amount to health, to create 2 health centers that are very needed in our country, which is the cardiology center and the oncology center. But unfortunately at the time, the benches that represent the government were not, they did not accept it, and also the government itself also said that they didn't need it. So I'm glad that the people came to show that when Fretlin and PLP are talking in Parliament, we are not just talking for us, but we are talking because the people are demanding it.
Protesters this week damaged government buildings, burned tires and threw rocks at the police, leading authorities to fire tear gas at them. East Timor, commonly known as Timor-Leste, has a population of 1.3 million people living on the island, slightly bigger than Qatar. It is one of Southeast Asia's poorest nations and is dependent on dwindling reserves of oil and gas. Danish-led joint military training exercises, Arctic Light 2025, are taking place in Greenland, marking the largest military exercise in the island's modern history, as NATO allies bolster defense cooperation in the Arctic amid rising U.S. interest in the strategic island. On Wednesday, special forces from Denmark, France, and Germany conducted drills in Kangerlussuaq on Greenland's west coast, while Home Guard units from Denmark, Sweden, and Norway participated in separate exercises in the area. The Danish Home Guard, a voluntary and unpaid military organization, plays a key role in Greenland by protecting critical infrastructure such as airports and power plants.
After the Cold War ended and we could see that peace was coming, then the Home Guard was changing tasks slightly. They went into more civil roles. But now when we unfortunately again have war in Europe, we are now increasing again the military tasks and protection of civil infrastructure, and we are supporting the real army in many tasks. One of them being in the Royal Kingdom of Denmark, also being at site here in Greenland, doing the exact same thing, protecting critical infrastructure mainly. And also here at this forward operation base, we do the force protection of our Air Force here. What is defined as critical infrastructure is basically everything that supports life. And that means for a city like Nuuk, it is the power plant, it is the oil terminal, and in this case, where we move up the coast, it is of course the force protection here, the forward operation base, and everything like that. There are many other items we are protecting, and that is part of our planning, but they are not public. But of course the other ones are obvious, and I can mention them. We are freezing, the light is changing, it's cold, it's wet, and the terrain is tough. So we are measuring now if the troops are capable to execute the same task in this environment.
Arctic Light 2025, running from September 9 to 19, involves more than 550 soldiers, including special forces from Denmark, France, Germany, Sweden, and Norway. Denmark is deploying a frigate, helicopters, and F-16 fighter jets, while France has contributed to a naval vessel, an air refueling tanker aircraft, and a drone unit. Up next is entertainment news.
This is entertainment news. Culinary talent and internet sensation Damilola Adeparusi, popularly known as Chef Dami, has denied claims that she's preparing to cook the largest pot of beans after celebrity chef Hilda Bassi broke the record for largest serving of jollof rice. Chef Dami, who is on the full scholarship at the Hospitality Business School in Lagos, where she's studying for a professional culinary diploma, clarified the speculation in a video she posted on social media, addressing the rumor about the largest pot of beans. She stated that she was making the video because people have been asking her whether she wants to cook again. The Ekiti chef, who shot into the limelight after her 2023 cookathon attempt, thanked those who have continued to support her. Nigerian Afrobeat star David Adeleke, popularly known as Davido, is set to make his debut at the Coachella Music and Arts Festival next year. The organizers recently unveiled the lineup ahead of the festival, with Davido being the only Nigerian artist to make the cut. The With Me hitmaker said he will take the stage on April 11 and 18, 2026, bringing his unique Afrobeat sound to the iconic California venue Empire Polo Club in Indio, California. California. However, Sabrina Carpenter, Justin Bieber, and Karol G are the headliners of the 2026 Coachella. Also included in the lineup are Young Thug, Major Lazer, Sway Lee, Teddy Swims, Giveon, and Central C. Evicted Big Brother Naija housemate Tracy Ekwe says she is unsure if her employers will take her back. Recall that Tracy, who works in an oil and gas firm, revealed on the show that she took a 2-week leave, claiming that she was going on a self-improvement course just to come to the reality show. In a post-eviction interview with a radio station in Lagos, Tracy says she's uncertain about the punishment her action would attract at her office, having spent 7 weeks on the show instead of the initial 2 weeks she applied for. Rapper Cardi B says she's expecting a child with her American football player boyfriend Stefon Diggs. Following weeks of rumors, the singer confirmed the news in an interview with CBS, telling the outlet that she's excited and happy. It came months after Cardi B had split from her husband, fellow rapper Sept, who is the father of her 3 previous children. Cardi B is currently promoting her new album, Am I the Drama, which will be released on Friday. And that's the entertainment news. I am Queenette Wokunta for Signature TV.
And that's the news this hour. I am Uchenna Chimdi Olwoha. Thanks for watching.